All right. What is going on, everybody? It is Monday, and we have a football game this afternoon. This is going to be a bit of a wild one, right? We had a bunch of players that were out. We got some guys coming back. Both me and my dad are in the same studio today. With us, as always, is Mike Strano. Mike, how's it going, man?
Doing good. How you guys doing?
Good. Pretty good. Yeah, first things first. This has been a wild week. I mean, we were all looking at all the people, all the players that were going back and forth from COVID being in, being out, not knowing what was going to happen with the with all the testing. We finally get Teller back, we get John Johnson back, but now obviously Baker and Case Keenum aren't available tonight. So here's the good thing. And I'll after this I'll kick it over to you, Mike. I think the interesting thing about this is, even though we have a lot of players out, we still have Miles, we still have Denzel Ward, we still have JOK, we still have Nick Chubb, right? We still have very good players. And Nick Mullens is not the worst backup quarterback in the league to have. So from an emergency standpoint, guy, third string emergency guy that we can bring up to fill in, this guy's got closing in on like 16 or 17 NFL starts. I mean, he's not a bad quarterback. He's won some games. He's beaten the Raiders. And then we have all these other guys that are on the team right now, that that were brought up from practice squad or that are getting a chance to start today. And you know what? These guys are healthy. They're not banged up. They didn't have, 15 weeks of NFL football pounding on their bodies. And, they're on the practice squad or they're on the team for a reason. And some of these guys are looking at this kind of like Dearness Johnson, back when he was starting against the Broncos. This is an opportunity to show the world that you belong in this league and that you can play. And I think we're going to have a lot of guys that are going to go out there and going to play their heart out. And, the guys who are there, who are not, who are the regular starters, are going to look at it and go, hey, let's help these guys out. Let's make sure that they're aware of the situation, what they need to do, what the responsibilities are. And from an offensive standpoint, let's go out and execute. I mean, it's not necessarily going to change our game all that much because we're not a quarterback-driven team. We live and die with a running back. So with that said, Mike, what are your thoughts going into this, man?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on a few things that I actually had written down note-wise. I mean, if you let's start with the offensive side of the ball. So if you start on the offense, obviously it's not ideal that you've got a quarterback starting that basically is, I mean, he's been on the roster, but he's not been on the roster essentially. So, it's not Baker, it's not Keenum, but it's a guy that, to your point earlier, has made more than 15 starts in the league. If you go back and look at some of his tape, I mean, he's solid for what he is. And if you go back and you look at the way he played in the Shanahan offense, which is, similar to what we do. I mean, he does really well when you get him out on the edge and he's got to throw on the run. He throws accurate balls. So I think he'll be solid from that standpoint. I mean, is he Baker? Is he Keenum? No, but I can actually go out on a limb and say, you might see a better product out of Nick Mullens today than you did with Case Keenum in Denver, right? So that's out there, but to continue on the offensive side, I mean, I think it's big getting Teller back. You've got all your interior linemen. It's not ideal that we're without our tackles, but you look at Alex Taylor, he's probably going to be on the left side. He bounced around. He was with us. He was not with us. And then we signed him back to the practice squad, I believe, at the end of October. And I mean, he's a big kid, 6'8", 301. So, you just have to hope that, the tutelage of these veterans on the line, and of course, Bill Callahan, you hope that, the time that he's been with us, that, he's had some improvement, along the way, like, James Hudson had improvement. Alex Taylor was a rookie last year. So young guy, still impressionable. You could still teach. And you've got Chubb still, you got Dearness. So I think you're fine back there. Njoku's back. Bryant's active today. You've got DPJ and you've got Higgins, and then also Schwartz is active today. So, if in my opinion, if the tackles could hold up, I think we're good. And then you go to the defensive side of the ball. And again, this is something else that you touched on that I had in my notes. If I look at the defensive side of the ball, yeah, we're missing Clowney and I think one of the tackles we're missing, and obviously a couple of the linebackers, et cetera. But if you look at the defense, we've still got, in my opinion, who I like to call the core guys on defense. You've got Myles Garrett is still there. You've got Denzel, who's still there, another core guy. I think JOK at this point is another core guy. And then you get JJ the third back at safety, which to me is one of the biggest, gets coming off of that COVID list, because I was worried without him. But I think we're going to be okay. To be quite honest with you, I don't think we're going to have any trouble moving the ball. And I think the defense is going to play well. I think Tech, fills in for Clowney on the outside, and I think he's solid. So that's where I'm. I feel good about it. How many times have I felt good about it, as you know, and your dad knows, too many times. But I'm more comfortable than I am nervous. So
Got it. And Dad, what about you? What are your thoughts going into this one?
Well, anything's possible. It is what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. It's unfortunate Baker's not playing. That's the real big disappointment. Keenum, and whether it's Nick Mullens or not, it doesn't make that much difference. People have got to step up. The defense has got to play to keep us in the game. Hopefully they've designed a pretty good, simple game plan for Nick Mullens so that he doesn't have to do too much. Roll out a little bit, get the running game going, keep their offense off the field. Don't give up the big play. It made me think back quite a few years to 1988, and I did a little research, and we lost Bernie Kosar midway through the season, and we had to get a backup quarterback. And does anybody remember who that was? 1988 backup quarterback. Only played with us one season. That season.
Is it Todd Philcox?
Nope.
You stumped me.
1988.
And he got us into the playoffs.
It was Tom Zach?
Nope. And we played against the Houston Oilers. It was a snowy, cold, wintry day. He had played several games at that point, because I think Bernie went down in mid-season with a knee, and we brought him in. And
anybody in chat knows this, please chime up. I'm stumped, and I don't know if Mike, you were Googling it, but
first name was Don.
Oh, Don Strock.
Yeah, Don Strock. And where did he
go
to?
Pagel that year too?
Yeah, Pagel was the backup to him.
Okay.
That's when we used to carry three quarterbacks, just like,
I guess.
like quarterback. The rules on quarterbacks, like you could have 9 quarterbacks to get.
Here's the next trivia question: where did Strock go to school?
Virginia Tech.
That I'd have to Google.
Virginia Tech. He did.
That I knew.
Yeah.
There you go.
He was like him and Bruce Arenas, and and then.
And I remember the game because it was snowing. It was cold. It was bitter. The field was frozen. We had guys like Clay Matthews flying around the place, and it was 20. I can't remember how it ended per se, but Strock got hurt in the middle of the game, went down, and Mike Pagel had to come in and take his place, and we lost 24-23. And I forget, Matt Barr, I guess, was the kicker, and I don't know if he missed one or Strock fumbled one. They got an easy touchdown or whatever, but it reminded me of that. You lose your starting quarterback. Luckily, he should test negative by next week, so we will have him for Christmas against the Packers.
Hope so.
And if we don't lose anybody, if you watched the game last night, you watched you watched Tampa Bay lose 3 of their starting guys. I mean, key critical guys, and they lost. They didn't score a point. They were held.
I know.
How would you have predicted that they would not score 1 point for the whole game? And Brady threw a couple of bad interceptions. I mean, it can happen to the best. So my other hope is that we don't lose anybody. We don't have somebody come back and then all of a sudden, boom, their ankle is gone. Their whatever. We get more COVID. Whatever. We got to come out fairly healthy to go against the Packers. They're beatable. Rodgers got a bad toe. If he stubs his toe in the game, that'll send him sideways. But so we'll have a chance. But if we can win this one, then we can afford to lose next week. Whereas we can't afford to lose both of these games. We got to win one of them, and then we got to finish strong in the last 2.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And I think we know what's at stake today. So you find a way. You're sitting at the top of the AFC North, and then we've talked about it on this show and the Wednesday show. Our thing was, hey, you got to beat the Raiders, you got to beat the Steelers, you got to beat the Bengals, and if you could beat Green Bay, great. If you don't, so be it. But I have to tell you, if we win today, all those starters are so well rested that it's like another bye week. So anything is possible in Green Bay, in my opinion, if we can get everybody back. I have to be honest, I'm worried that we're going on, especially if tomorrow they don't test negative. That's day 7. So just bizarre. But yeah, if we can get them all back, it is, and win today, it's like a mini bye going into Christmas.
Yeah. And the thing that's really interesting too about it is, this is a game that I think with our full strength team, I think we would have been favored by a touchdown or more, going into it with everybody. Now we're going in not only with several players, over a dozen players out, but our head coach who calls plays. That's the thing. Now
he didn't test negative.
No,
not that I saw. And
no.
my wife was saying, is like, hey, that might not be a bad thing. He AVP has called plays before. We won in the playoffs. We won with AVP, right? So who knows?
Head coaches don't always make good decisions. Ask Harbaugh that from the other night. With his second 2-point try results in a loss that puts him in a tie for first, and then if we win, we'll be up there too. So he's got to be second questioned a little bit in terms of his decisions. I would have kicked the extra point, gone into overtime, and tried to win it. Their quarterback, it looked more like Lamar Jackson than Jackson himself, the way he played. The comeback, the 2 touchdowns. The only thing he didn't execute was the 2-point conversion there at the end. So good for us. I can't believe the Titans played as crappy as they did.
They're not the same team without Derrick Henry.
Yeah, and Tannehill didn't play all that well. And it was unfortunate that the Bengals hung on to win. So I was counting on all 3 of those Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati losing, but we got Baltimore. That was the key one to have them lose. So it's in our court. It's in front of us. We can, as they say, control our own destiny.
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah, we just got to get healthy people back on the field, the best people on the field, that's for sure, and hope that Mullens has a good game. He's a okay quarterback. I can't imagine if he wasn't available, we'd have some no-name guy out there, including our backup, to get ready. I think he had a productive week. He got some reps in where Baker had to stay away. He couldn't, or Case Keenum couldn't come to the. And they can't be on the sidelines either. They can't help out. They can't do anything. So let's hope that they keep it simple, short, quick drops, hand it off to Chubb. Offensive line does their thing, opens up some holes, and our defense takes care of the rest.
Real quick, just to give a shout out to everybody in chat. Steve Z, Mids Plug, Mr. Bsif, Devin Evan Smith is in the house, Jonathan Schlegel, Keyblade, Hambone. Who else is in there chatting away? Cleveland Pulse, Tim, Mike R. Somewhere.
Who's that guy? Who's that
somewhere in there. Cleveland Ethan, Mark Schoen. What else we got around? Everybody else who happens to be around, I'll give you some shout outs. Mike, we had a question that came in from Mids Plug. What's the jersey scheme for today?
Brown, white, brown.
Brown, white, brown. All right, good. So we're rocking the Teller Brown, right?
Yeah.
By the way, I can show you guys. I got my Christmas card.
There it is. I'm still waiting for mine.
Yeah.
Got the old card. Everybody clip it, all right, so we can see it. Mike's salty because Carly hasn't sent his out yet. Or maybe it just hasn't got to the Delaware.
Well, I mean, they got to Florida.
Yeah.
I think I'm
have the worst postal
SOL.
system in Florida.
I can always send you mine. I'll send you mine, and then you'll thank her, and she'll be like, "Excuse me, I didn't send it to you. I don't know where you got that."
Send it. I took it from Mike.
Yeah, guys. I mean, I gotta tell you, going into this game, I still do feel like we're gonna win. So don't get me wrong. I'm not bearish on this game. I think we've got a very good chance to win. Still, we have the core team, and the good thing is we're not. This isn't like like if Tampa doesn't have Brady, or if a better example would be Green Bay doesn't have Aaron Rodgers. We're not a quarterback. We're not a quarterback feast or famine team. Unfortunately,
but your quarterback's got to play well. I mean, he's got to play decent.
Yeah.
He's got to not lose the game for you, and that's Nick Mullens' job today. Don't lose the game for us. Don't throw 3 interceptions, bad interceptions. Don't fumble the ball. Don't hold on to it too long in the pocket so you get creamed. And don't get hurt so that we have to go to backup number 4 in order to get through the game. So that's that's our task today.
And by the way, guys, for giveaway time, giveaway is going to be Sabo apparel giveaway in the post game show. I had some technical difficulties. That's why it took us a while to get live here. So we'll do the Sabo apparel giveaway in the post game show. John will have that up on dogwoofs.com. So if you're not signed up, make sure you go into dogwoofs.com, get your DKP for today's show, and then get in there and register for the giveaway. It's going to be this afternoon. And then you know what? This is the really interesting thing. This is a control, like my dad said. This is a control your own destiny type game. We win this game, we're in first place. We lose, we're in last place. Like how crazy is that? With the Steelers refuse to go away, and the Bengals are hanging on. I think the Bengals are exactly who we thought they were. They're not a pushover. Joe Burrow with this Bengals team is a very good quarterback, and he is done better in his second year. I think he's off to a really great start as well.
Yeah, Denver was a big disappointment. They couldn't do anything.
Well, they knocked out Teddy Bridgewater fairly early, so it fell to Drew Lock. I don't think it was Drew Lock's fault necessarily, but they just really struggled to score points.
Yeah. And
so I think with today's game, with something similar with us or the quarterback, at least going into this, we know that Nick Mullens is the guy. What I'm afraid of is, does that mean Kyle Aletta is now the backup, Mike? Do we know that?
Yep.
Okay, so Kyle Aletta is a backup. And then
Johnny Stanton, maybe.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Is it Johnny, since he's the only guy who knows how to take a snap, or do we go direct snaps to Nick Chubb and DPJ and D'Ernest if that happened? Can you imagine that though? Can you imagine if Mullens goes down? And this was what happened. What happened to that was a Mike White kid for the Jets, right?
Yeah.
So you go up, you play well, and then you get knocked out. The Ravens came really close to that last year. Remember on the toilet bowl game where Lamar Jackson had to come back from being in the in the bathroom,
in the loo, if you will.
Right. He was hanging out in the trough. And so that's what I think if we get down with Mullens, I think has at least been around where he can understand the playbook to a degree. I mean, I think they're going to simplify things. We're probably only going to have about 20 plays if I were to guess, and different variations of those 20 plays, switching it left and right.
I'll give you a scenario. Suppose Nick Mullens plays really well, wins the game.
Oh boy.
Do you cut him?
No,
What do you do with him? You know, both guys come back. Case Keenum comes back. Baker comes back. Do you hang on to him? You put him on the practice squad.
I think you
leave him there.
I think in the like where we are in the world, if this guy goes out and wins this game, you can't afford to put him on the practice squad because somebody could claim him.
You can protect a couple of guys on the practice, but not the whole practice.
Well,
I think only one or three guys. I think you can protect on the practice squad.
But since he was signed or brought up from the practice squad,
you'd have to cut him.
Yeah,
he
has
waivers, and then
he has to stay on the active roster for 2 weeks, this week and next week, and then they can do whatever they want with him, and we should be in pretty good shape.
If he goes out there and
I can hear the fans, booing in.
No, I don't think.
If Baker has a bad game, and they say, "Oh, bring in Nick,"
I mean,
if he plays well today,
Nick Mullens this is his 4th year in the league. He's got a 5-11 record as a player. I would assume as a starter as well. He throws interceptions, guys. He's like 25 touchdowns, 22 interceptions, throw for 4,700 yards, about 65% completion percentage, if I recall correctly. Now, arguably, that's being said, he hasn't. I don't think you could take the talent that was on San Francisco the last couple of years and give that in comparison to what he has to work with on the Browns. But we have two essential. Well, I think Blake Hance is an NFL tackle at this point. I think Blake Hance has proven himself to be NFL caliber.
These Raiders. The Raiders played horrible last week, so they're coming off of getting their tails whipped.
Yeah.
Now maybe that's bad. Maybe I don't know how that's going to motivate them, but they're on the brink. If they get behind, they may mail it in. If they get behind, knowing that it's over for them. But as far as I'm concerned, I think it's all on Derek Carr. However he plays will determine how the Raiders play.
Which then leads me to say, again, going back to the defense, the fact that John Johnson's coming back, good. Denzel, JOK, and Miles Garrett. Does it hurts that Jadavion's not playing because he essentially helped to win us the game last week. Right? He made the play that won us the game. Him and Denzel. So you've got the core defensive guys, and this is going to be one of those games. We're up against a team that's circling the bowl, but they're out. They probably smell blood because they're sitting there going, "Hey, the Browns are beatable at this point. We're not going up against the full Browns. We're going up against the Browns B team, right?" And luckily we're able to get Teller back and John Johnson, and so we'll see, guys. I mean, I'm going into this game less nervous about it because at the end of the day, like, this has been a roller coaster season. The teams, like, if you watch the Packers play, they're incredible, right? But even the Packers have lost a couple games this year. They're not perfect. You look at, my dad said with Tom Brady playing, yesterday, it's the first time he got blanked in 15 years, right? So if Nick Mullens goes out there and throws one touchdown, is he better than Tom Brady? Some would say.
And then you lose. Not only do you have a bad game with Brady, but when you lose three, Mike Evans and two other.
Godwin and Fournette.
Yeah, who's he going to throw
Godwin's
the ball to? He had one or two guys that were stepping
Antonio
up.
Brown, they're going to get Antonio Brown back eventually, right? So they're going to have to maybe force the issue to get Antonio Brown back. But needless to say, right? Every team has some off games. Taysom Hill just beat Tom Brady, okay? In Tampa nonetheless. So I'll tell you what, in the last, I'd say in the Baker Mayfield era, we have played the Raiders very tough every game, and arguably we should have won every single one of them.
Right.
The last was it? I know the last one time, Baker's rookie year, we played the Raiders and lost because we got screwed, and I think we went back the next year. I had to go look, but I know that we got screwed one time, and then we played them tough last year and ended up winning. So this isn't a team that we've never seen before. And arguably, this is Myles Garrett coming out party this year. He's been healthy, and he's been destroying the league. So I got to tell you this, guys. I feel like we have a legitimate chance to win today. I don't think that this is, we're not going to bend over and allow them to just win the game. And we have guys that want to prove to the world. I mean, you don't get that many shots as a professional athlete. This is a dream scenario for some of these guys to go in there and prove that they belong in this league and put some reps on tape that other teams can view, even if the Browns don't have the availability on their roster. Right? There have been guys who have used this opportunity to really make it in the league. And this is where you can really go out there and show it. Nick Mullens is one of those guys. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in for an interesting one. It's a 5:00 game, so starting in less than an hour. We get the early one. That's fine. It's going to be on what? NFL Network, I think it's on. Right. So we're going into it. We're going into it with something interesting, And I just think Chubba Little Hub, what's going on, man?
We should have a full crowd there. I think the weather is okay. Shouldn't be a factor. I was bored this week with nothing to do, so not much to watch. So I put on the Browns' first game against Kansas City, and you have to go back and all those Baker naysayers. I mean, Baker came out firing. They scored touchdowns on the first 3 drives against Kansas City, in Kansas City, with all that noise and everything, and they were poised to score again just before the half, and unfortunately we didn't get a chance to kick the field goal, but we were pretty close. So I mean, we played nearly a perfect first half against Kansas City, and that was so encouraging to start the season that way, and to watch Baker and the offensive line and Chubb, and everybody was doing good. The defense was holding and getting Holmes off the field and whatnot. And then it didn't turn out too well in the second half, but and not really to Baker's detriment. I mean, it was a team effort in terms of the letdown, but it was certainly nice to watch that first half again.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost a completely different team.
Yeah,
and it's interesting because if you go back and to piggyback off of what you just said, Dan, so you go back to week 1, we had that pretty substantial lead at halftime. So you figure we should have won that game, right? So what are we, 7-6 now? So that takes you to the 8th win. We should have beat the Steelers on Halloween. That takes you to the 9th win.
Chargers close.
Chargers was close. And I'll throw that one to the side and accept that one. But then I'll look forward, or I'll look ahead from the Charger game to the Ravens game with the 4 turnovers, losing 24-22. We should have swept that series. So I mean, we should be in first place right now, alone with a game or 2 on everybody else. So but to be where, I mean, if I told either of you 3 weeks ago that we would be playing today for sole possession of first place in the AFC North, you would think I was crazy.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, this is going to be a wild one. This is going to be one of those games that it's a character building game. It's going to show what we're really made of. It's going to show, can this coaching staff step up? I mean, Alex Van Pelt, he wants to show the world that he can call plays. He can be a legitimate offensive coordinator, right? So this is another dress rehearsal for him that he's showing the league what he can do.
If the guys step up and play well, and we don't lose anybody to injury, look at the additions to staff that we've made, and the guys that we found that stepped up and played, that can either stay on the practice squad or be ready to be pulled up again. So our depth will get better because we'll get more people back for next week, and we'll have to cut some people that we just put on the roster. But I assume that you dress today, you play today. I don't think there's going to be anybody sitting on the bench, warm in the seat. If you get to get to this game from the practice squad, you're going to be put in the game at some point. And hopefully, as Mike says, you step up and you make a contribution because you're psyched, the adrenaline is pumping, and you get the possibility of a tip ball, an interception, a sack, a fumble recovery, all those types of things. whether it's offense or defense. So is Bryant back? Brant back?
Yeah.
Yep.
Tight end. So we get him back, and which will help things. So
Yeah.
it's I'm optimistic, but not overly optimistic now that Baker's not playing.
Here's a little more positive news here at what time is it? 15 after the hour. Bitonio, Chubb, Garrett, Teller, Denzel are your Cleveland Brown Pro Bowlers.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wait, say it again.
So it's Bitonio, Chubb, Garrett, Teller, and Ward.
Teller made it.
Yep.
That's fantastic. That's awesome. I
Oh,
mean,
man.
congratulations to all those guys.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing, and I'm really happy for Teller too, because he was, when you go to the NFL website, I don't even know how much of the fan voting actually matters, because like they allow you to vote as many times as you want. I think it's all BS. They pick who they want to pick, but that's awesome that Teller made it. That's pretty amazing.
He's had a good year.
Oh yeah, it's been fantastic. Guys, we got to cut it off a little bit early because believe it or not, I have one more work meeting that I have to join before the 5 o'clock game. So we're going to cut this off a little bit early, but we will be back in the post-game show. So be here. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and you've got your alerts on. We're probably going to be live around 8 o'clock, whatever time the game ends. And we'll do the as long as we win, we'll do the Sabo apparel giveaway. And so you can be able to have a chance to get a t-shirt and all that kind of good stuff. So guys, I appreciate you all. Thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you. We'll see you after the game. Go Browns.
Go Brownies.
Brownies.